Something strange is happening, and most people can feel it, even if they can't name it. We live in the most stimulated era in human history. Endless entertainment, unlimited sexual imagery, instant gratification at every turn. And yet, beneath all of this noise, a quiet emptiness is spreading. Desire feels weaker. Passion feels muted. Life feels flatter. This is not the absence of pleasure. It is something more unsettling than that. It is the absence of hunger. Lust, in its truest form, was never just about sex. It was the raw energy that pushed humans toward risk, creation, obsession, and greatness. It was curiosity pulling us toward the unknown, ambition demanding more than survival, a restless fire that refused to be satisfied with comfort alone. Lust was life reaching forward. And yet today, that fire seems to be fading. People report feeling numb despite having everything they were told would make them happy. Intimacy feels scripted, mechanical, drained of mystery. Ambition often collapses the moment stability is achieved, as if the soul shuts down once the struggle ends. We scroll endlessly, consume endlessly, stimulate ourselves endlessly, yet feel strangely untouched by any of it. Desire did not vanish in a dramatic collapse. There was no single enemy, no moment of defeat. It eroded, slowly, quietly, through habits repeated every day, through systems designed not to repress desire, but to pacify it. This is the unsettling truth. Lust is not killed by restriction. It is killed by comfort, by overstimulation, by predictability, by a world that removes tension, risk, and uncertainty in the name of convenience. If repression once suffocated desire, modern life dissolves it. And the most disturbing part is this: the habits that drain lust from our lives are not treated as dangerous. They are encouraged, praised, marketed as progress, as self-care, as success. Something vital has been lost, not by force, but by design. And until it is named, it will continue to disappear, quietly, one comfortable day at a time. Before anything can be destroyed, it must first be misunderstood. And lust has been misunderstood for a very long time. Most people reduce lust to sex, to appetite, impulse, or indulgence. Something primitive to be controlled, satisfied, or exhausted. But this shallow definition hides something far more important. Lust is not merely a craving for pleasure. It is a signal of vitality, a force that emerges when life feels unfinished, incomplete, and alive with possibility. At its core, lust is not born from excess. It is born from absence. Psychologically, desire awakens when there is distance between what is and what could be. It is the tension between now and later, between safety and risk, between the familiar and the unknown. Philosophers understood this intuitively. The human drive was never aimed at comfort, but at becoming. Freud saw desire as a restless force that refuses equilibrium. Nietzsche saw it as life's will to expand, to test itself against resistance. Even pessimistic thinkers understood that longing disappears when struggle disappears. For most of human history, life itself was uncertain. Food was not guaranteed. Survival was never automatic. Danger sharpened perception. Scarcity intensified value. Mystery surrounded the future. Lust evolved in this environment, not as indulgence, but as propulsion. It pushed humans toward connection, creativity, conquest, and meaning. Now contrast that with modern life. We live surrounded by safety systems, predictive algorithms, endless abundance, and instant answers. Risk is minimized. Friction is engineered out. Waiting has become intolerable. Mystery is treated as inefficiency. We no longer move toward the unknown, we scroll past it. But lust does not thrive in certainty. It feeds on tension, on distance, on the possibility of loss. When everything is accessible, explained, and available on demand, desire has nowhere to grow. It collapses inward, becoming dull, compulsive, and short-lived. This is the uncomfortable truth. Lust was never designed for a frictionless world. It was designed for a world that resisted us. And if lust depends on tension, on uncertainty, danger, and absence, then a question becomes impossible to ignore. What happens to desire in a world built to eliminate all of it? Every collapse begins somewhere subtle, not with chaos, but with ease, not with suffering, but with relief. And this is where the erosion of lust truly begins, not in indulgence, not in excess, but but in comfort. Comfort is seductive because it feels like progress. Temperature-controlled rooms. Food delivered without hunger. Entertainment without boredom. Social interaction without friction or risk. Modern life is carefully engineered to remove effort from almost every experience. Nothing is wrong with this on the surface. In fact, it is often celebrated as the highest achievement of civilization. But psychologically, comfort carries a hidden cost. Lust depends on contrast. Pleasure only registers when it rises against discomfort. Hunger gives food its meaning. Cold makes warmth feel alive. Effort gives reward its weight. When discomfort disappears, pleasure doesn't increase. It becomes invisible. The nervous system adapts. What once felt extraordinary becomes baseline. What once sparked desire now barely registers. This is not speculation. It is how the brain works. Human perception is relative, not absolute. Remove struggle, and the emotional range collapses inward. Life becomes smooth, but flat. History offers a quiet warning here. Declining empires rarely fall at the height of their hardship. They rot during periods of abundance. When survival is guaranteed, urgency dissolves. Risk becomes optional. Excess replaces aspiration. Rome did not collapse because life was too difficult, but because it became too comfortable for too long. The danger was not suffering, but softness. The modern version of this is not decadence in palaces. It is convenience in daily routines. Designing life to avoid discomfort at all costs. Choosing ease over effort. Familiarity over challenge. Predictability over growth. This habit is often mistaken for self-care. But it is not laziness that kills lust. It is insulation. When every edge is padded, nothing cuts deep enough to be felt. When effort is optional, desire weakens. When struggle is outsourced or eliminated, the psyche loses its reason to burn. The unsettling realization is this. Many people do not feel uninspired because something is wrong with them. They feel uninspired because their lives are too easy, too managed, too frictionless. And once comfort becomes the highest value, something dangerous happens. Ambition feels unnecessary. Creativity feels exhausting. Risk feels irrational. Lust, once a force that pushed life forward, quietly fades into background noise. Comfort does not announce what it takes from you. It simply replaces hunger with fullness, tension with calm, fire with warmth. And by the time it's noticed, the loss feels normal. But comfort doesn't just kill lust. It dulls ambition. It weakens creativity. And eventually, it drains life of meaning without ever raising an alarm. To understand why lust is fading, we have to talk about addiction, but not the kind most people imagine. This is not about drugs or excess in the traditional sense. It is about dopamine, the molecule quietly shaping modern behavior. Dopamine is often misunderstood as pleasure itself. It isn't. Dopamine is anticipation. It is the chemical that rises before the reward, not after it. It is what makes the mind lean forward, curious, alert, hungry. Lust lives here, in the space of wanting, not having. Modern technology has learned how to hijack this system with surgical precision. Social media feeds, pornography, endless scrolling, junk content. These do not satisfy desire. They stimulate anticipation over and over again without resolution. Each swipe promises something new. Each click hints at fulfillment. But the reward is shallow, fleeting, and instantly replaced by the next signal. The brain is kept in a constant state of expectation, never arrival. Lust, by contrast, is slow burning. It builds over time. It feeds on imagination, patience, and emotional investment. Dopamine abuse collapses this process. Instead of depth, the brain learns novelty. Instead of longing, it learns impulse. Instead of desire, it learns consumption. Neuroscience shows that overstimulation dulls sensitivity. What once felt exciting now feels ordinary. Stronger signals are required to produce weaker effects. Attention fragments. Imagination withers. The capacity to wait, to fantasize, to yearn, to build tension, atrophies. This is not an accident. Platforms are not neutral tools. They are engineered environments designed to maximize engagement by keeping the brain hooked to anticipation loops. Desire is kept shallow on purpose, because deep desire is slow, unpredictable, and difficult to monetize. Shallow desire is fast, disposable, and endlessly renewable. The result is a population trained to chase stimulation rather than meaning. People consume images, bodies, ideas, and experiences the way they consume snacks, quickly, compulsively, without nourishment. Lust becomes mechanical. Intimacy becomes impatient. Boredom becomes intolerable. In this state, nothing is allowed to ripen. Nothing is given time to grow roots. Everything must deliver immediately or be discarded. And here is the crucial realization. Lust cannot survive in a mind trained to expect instant gratification. Desire requires space. It requires delay. It requires the tension of not yet. When dopamine is constantly spiked and crashed, the nervous system stops believing in anticipation. It learns that wanting is painful and pointless. Better to consume quickly than to desire deeply. This is how lust dies, not through denial, but through saturation. Not by absence, but by endless stimulation without substance. A brain addicted to dopamine no longer desires, it consumes. There was a time when mystery was not a flaw in life, but its fuel. The unknown sharpened attention. Distance intensified desire. What could not be seen clearly was imagined more vividly. Lust thrived in the shadows of uncertainty. Today, those shadows are disappearing. Modern life is built on exposure. Constant updates. Endless explanations. Oversharing as a social norm. Every thought posted. Every moment documented. Every person reduced to data, patterns, and predictability. Nothing is allowed to remain incomplete. Nothing is left unanswered for long. But psychologically, desire does not grow in full light. It grows in gaps. Mystery creates projection. When information is incomplete, the mind fills the space with imagination. Anticipation forms. Fantasy takes root. This is how lust deepens. Not through certainty, but through suggestion. Not through clarity, but through possibility. When everything is revealed, explained, and optimized, the imagination becomes unemployed. Relationships once carried distance and tension. You didn't know what the other person was thinking at all times. Absence created longing. Silence carried meaning. Now presence is constant, and mystery collapses under the weight of availability. When someone is always accessible, they are no longer pursued. When everything is known, nothing is desired. The same pattern extends beyond intimacy. Life itself has become overly legible. Algorithms predict what you'll like. Maps eliminate the chance of getting lost. Reviews tell you what to expect before you arrive. Spoilers replace suspense. Even risk is simulated rather than lived. Uncertainty, once a defining feature of existence, is treated as inefficiency. But lust evolved in a world where outcomes were unclear, where the future was not guaranteed, where not knowing created emotional tension and psychological momentum. Remove that uncertainty, and desire loses its grip. The nervous system relaxes. Curiosity fades. Attention drifts. The habit here is subtle but devastating, removing unpredictability from daily life. Designing routines so tight, so transparent, so optimized that nothing unexpected can intrude. No surprises, no friction, no mystery. This creates a strange paradox. We know more than ever, yet feel less engaged. We are constantly informed, yet rarely intrigued. Life becomes visible, but not vivid. And when mystery disappears, lust does not protest. It simply withdraws. What replaces it is familiarity without fascination, knowledge without wonder, presence without longing. A world without mystery is not safer, it is flatter. And in that flatness, desire slowly suffocates, starved not of stimulation, but of the unknown it needs to breathe. There is a quiet irony at the center of modern sexuality. Never in history has sexual imagery been so abundant, so accessible, so unavoidable, and yet genuine lust has never felt so fragile. This is because lust does not grow through saturation. It grows through restraint. For most of human history, sexual desire was shaped by distance, rarity, and imagination. The erotic lived in suggestion rather than display. Desire had time to ferment. Fantasy filled the gaps left by absence. The mind played an active role in longing. Today, those gaps no longer exist. Sexual imagery is everywhere, flattened, accelerated, stripped of context. What was once intimate is now ambient noise. Bodies are consumed the way content is consumed, rapidly, endlessly, without emotional investment. This does not intensify desire, it exhausts it. Psychologically, this creates desensitization. The nervous system adapts quickly. What once triggered arousal soon feels ordinary. Novelty must escalate. Stimulation must become stronger, faster, more extreme to produce weaker effects. Desire becomes mechanical, detached from presence, intimacy, and imagination. It is crucial to make a distinction here. Lust is not the same as arousal. Arousal is a reflex. It can be triggered instantly, repeatedly, without meaning. Lust is slower. It involves anticipation, vulnerability, and emotional risk. Lust pulls the mind forward. Arousal simply reacts. Constant exposure trains the brain to prioritize reaction over imagination. Instead of longing, there is clicking. Instead of tension, there is release. Instead of depth, there is repetition. Over time, the ability to sustain desire, to sit with wanting without immediately satisfying it, erodes. This changes how people relate to each other. Intimacy becomes impatient. Connection feels effortful. Real bodies cannot compete with endless novelty. Real relationships feel demanding compared to frictionless stimulation. Desire, once directed outward toward another human being, turns inward and collapses. This is not about morality. It is about psychology. When erotic imagery is everywhere, it loses its power to point toward anything. Desire requires boundaries to define it. When there are no edges, there is no tension. When there is no tension, there is no fire. Cultures have always understood this intuitively. Sacred spaces were separated. Rituals were delayed. Access was limited, not to repress desire, but to concentrate it. Modern society has inverted this logic. Everything is exposed. Everything is immediate. Everything is available. The result is not liberation, but dilution. Overexposure does not make people more lustful. It makes them bored, restless, and disconnected. The nervous system becomes flooded but unsatisfied. Desire becomes fragmented and shallow, unable to attach itself deeply to anything real. And this is the danger. When lust is everywhere, it no longer leads anywhere. It stops being a force that draws us toward connection, creation, and meaning, and becomes just another form of consumption, endlessly repeated and quietly empty. Lust is energy, and like all energy, it decays when it has nowhere to go. One of the most underestimated forces killing desire is not excess, but repetition. Days that look the same, weeks that blur together, routines that run efficiently, quietly, without resistance. Life becomes organized, but inert. The human nervous system evolved to respond to challenge. Danger sharpened awareness. Obstacles demanded creativity. Uncertainty forced adaptation. When something was at stake, attention intensified. Emotion followed. Desire followed. Routine, when unbroken, removes that stake. Modern life rewards predictability. Wake up at the same time. Follow the same paths. Perform the same tasks. Consume the same information. Even pleasure is scheduled and optimized. Nothing disrupts the pattern. Nothing demands transformation. Over time, the mind learns that nothing is required of it beyond maintenance. There is no need to rise, only to repeat. This dulls perception. When nothing challenges you, nothing excites you. The brain stops expecting novelty. Dopamine systems flatten. Time begins to collapse. Days pass quickly but feel empty in hindsight. The future no longer pulls. It simply arrives. Lust struggles in this environment because desire needs friction. It needs something to overcome, something uncertain enough to provoke focus and imagination. Without challenge, desire has no direction. It drifts, then dissipates. This is why moments of risk often reignite lust. Travel to unfamiliar places, physical exertion, creative struggle, emotional exposure. These experiences reintroduce tension into the system. They wake the nervous system up. But when life is designed to minimize disruption, challenge is treated as stress rather than stimulus. Comfort becomes the priority. Efficiency becomes the goal. And slowly, the psyche learns to avoid intensity altogether. The habit here is not having a routine, but having one without variation, resistance, or escalation. A life optimized for smoothness rather than growth. Over time, this creates a dangerous illusion that boredom is just a lack of entertainment rather than a lack of challenge. People seek stimulation instead of transformation, novelty instead of effort, distraction instead of engagement. And lust cannot survive in a life that asks nothing of you. When nothing is at stake, desire goes dormant. When there is no mountain to climb, there is no hunger for the summit. The fire does not disappear, it simply waits, and used, until it fades into embers. A life without challenge does not feel oppressive. It feels calm, manageable, safe. And that is precisely why it is so effective at killing desire. Lust has always been dangerous, not because it is destructive, but because it is emotional. It requires exposure. It demands that something be felt deeply, without guarantees, without control. And this is precisely what modern life teaches us to avoid. We live in a culture obsessed with emotional regulation, comfort, and stability. Discomfort is treated as a malfunction. Sadness is medicated. Anxiety is silenced. Frustration is escaped. Any feeling that disrupts equilibrium is quickly labeled unhealthy and managed away. But in the process of avoiding emotional pain, something vital is lost. Lust does not emerge from emotional neutrality. It emerges from intensity, from longing, vulnerability, anticipation, fear of loss, and desire that is not yet resolved. It is not calm. It is charged, and charge requires friction. Psychologically, emotions do not exist in isolation. You cannot selectively numb pain without also dulling pleasure. The same nervous system that feels longing also feels heartbreak. The same openness that allows desire also allows disappointment. When people learn to close themselves emotionally to protect against pain, they also close the door to depth. This creates a subtle but pervasive numbness. Life continues. Functionality remains. But intensity fades. Desire feels risky, so it is avoided. Attachment feels threatening, so it is controlled. Wanting something deeply feels irresponsible, so it is replaced with detachment. Modern self-protection strategies encourage this. Keep expectations low. Don't get too attached. Stay rational. Stay composed. Stay safe. But lust is not safe. It disrupts composure. It destabilizes routines. It exposes weakness. This is why emotionally guarded people often report feeling disconnected from desire. Not because they lack opportunity, but because they have trained themselves not to feel too much. Desire becomes muted because it cannot pass through emotional armor. Historically, cultures understood that intensity came with risk. Rituals, art, and shared suffering gave emotion a place to move. Today, emotion is privatized, managed, and suppressed behind productivity and performance. There is no space for longing to breathe. The habit here is not emotional intelligence, but emotional avoidance. The reflex to escape discomfort instead of inhabiting it, to distract instead of endure, to numb instead of feel. And lust cannot exist in numbness. Desire requires the courage to feel without certainty, to want without guarantees, to risk disappointment for the possibility of intensity. When emotional safety becomes the highest value, life becomes manageable, but shallow. And in that shallow space, lust does not rebel. It simply fades, unable to survive where nothing is allowed to be felt too deeply. At the deepest level, lust is directional. It is energy with somewhere to go. When people lose a sense of purpose, desire does not disappear, it scatters. It becomes restless, unfocused, compulsive. Instead of pulling life forward, it circles endlessly, consuming but never building. Purpose gives lust a trajectory. It organizes hunger around meaning. When there is something worth striving toward, desire sharpens. The future exerts gravity. Sacrifice feels justified. Tension feels alive. Without purpose, lust loses its orientation and collapses inward. Historically, desire was bound to larger narratives. Survival, legacy, creation, faith. Even suffering had meaning because it pointed towards something beyond the present moment. Lust was not just personal, it was existential. It pushed people toward family, invention, conquest, and transformation. Modern life quietly dissolves this structure. Goals are reduced to comfort metrics. Success is defined by stability, consumption, and convenience. Purpose is replaced with optimization, better habits, better productivity, better lifestyles, but rarely a reason why. Life becomes a series of upgrades without direction. When there is no compelling why, desire turns short-term. Pleasure becomes a substitute for purpose. Stimulation replaces ambition. People chase sensations because they no longer chase meaning. Psychologically, this creates exhaustion rather than fulfillment. Desire without direction burns fast and leaves nothing behind. It feels urgent but empty, repetitive but unsatisfying. The nervous system stays activated, but the soul feels stalled. This is why people can appear successful yet feel hollow. Why abundance coexists with apathy. Why freedom sometimes produces paralysis rather than vitality. When nothing truly matters, wanting feels pointless. Lust becomes noise rather than signal. The habit here is drifting through life without a narrative that demands commitment. Avoiding long-term stakes. Refusing to bind desire to something that might require sacrifice, discipline, or risk of failure. But lust needs something to serve, something to move toward. Without that, it becomes destructive or disappears entirely. Purpose does not tame desire, it focuses it. It gives hunger a shape. It turns wanting into momentum rather than compulsion. When purpose is absent, desire either fragments into addictions or fades into numbness. This is the quiet tragedy of modern life. People are not lacking desire. They are lacking direction. And without direction, lust cannot become a force for creation. It becomes a loop, consumed, forgotten, and repeated, never accumulating into meaning. When purpose disappears, desire loses its future. And a desire without a future is already dying. Lust is not just personal. It is disruptive. It is restless energy that challenges routines, questions authority, and pushes boundaries. It fuels creativity, rebellion, and ambition. It makes people unpredictable. It makes them alive. And that unpredictability is inconvenient for systems that rely on control. Modern society benefits quietly from a population whose desire is tamed. When people are overstimulated, comfortable, emotionally numbed, and distracted, they become easier to manage. Lustless individuals are less likely to rebel, less likely to question, less likely to demand more from their lives, or from the structures around them. Consider the mechanisms. Endless entertainment, social media, and distraction keep attention fragmented. Instant gratification erodes patience. Emotional avoidance prevents deep connection and critical thought. Comfort makes ambition optional. Apathy replaces urgency. In aggregate, these habits cultivate compliance without the need for force. This is not conspiracy in the dramatic sense. It is designed by consequence. Systems do not need to repress desire openly. They simply provide abundance without challenge, entertainment without depth, and stimulation without meaning. Desire is pacified, diluted, and rerouted into consumption. Historically, societies have always recognized the danger of unchecked desire. Rulers limited access to knowledge, controlled narratives, and regulated pleasure. Modern culture achieves the same effect subtly, invisibly, and efficiently. Lust is everywhere, but it points nowhere. Energy exists, but it is harmless. Motivation survives, but it is shallow. The result is a quiet surrender of vitality. People work, consume, and scroll, all while their capacity for passion, risk, and imagination diminishes. Desire, once a force for personal and collective transformation, is now a tool of predictability. The uncomfortable truth is this: systems do not fear the absence of control. They fear the presence of desire. And in a world that pacifies lust, control becomes effortless. A population that wants little, risks little, and imagines little is easier to guide, easier to predict, and far less dangerous than one burning with restless hunger. If all these habits have quietly stolen desire, the path to reclaiming it is not safe. Lust is inherently destabilizing. It is fire, not warmth. It demands discomfort, risk, and exposure. It cannot exist in the neatly ordered, risk-averse lives modern society encourages. To reignite lust, one must willingly step into friction. To confront boredom, embrace challenge. To resist instant gratification, cultivate patience. To restore imagination, tolerate absence. To reclaim desire, one must risk disappointment, failure, and even pain. This is why desire is treated subtly as expendable. It is dangerous not because it is wrong, but because it destabilizes control. A lustful mind is unpredictable. A restless heart cannot be managed with distraction, comfort, or algorithms. Ambition becomes fierce. Curiosity becomes relentless. Attention refuses to settle. The system prefers compliant, dopamine-driven, emotionally numbed individuals whose desire is diverted into harmless channels. Reclaiming lust is therefore inherently rebellious. It is not an exercise in indulgence. It is an act of liberation. Every small decision to feel deeply, to seek uncertainty, to create without immediate reward, is a refusal to let desire be quietly extinguished. Yet it is dangerous precisely because desire has power. It challenges routine, authority, and predictability. It demands more from life than comfort allows. It pushes toward experiences that the mind may resist and emotions may fear. It is not safe, and that is why it is essential. Lust cannot be restored in increments of convenience. It requires a willingness to confront the emptiness modern habits have produced and to step deliberately into tension. To want again is to risk imbalance, and to feel alive is to risk exposure. The very thing the world quietly discourages is exactly what must be pursued. To reignite lust is to reclaim agency, energy, and a life capable of intensity, and that is precisely why it is dangerous. Lust is not merely a drive, it is the pulse of life itself. It is the force that makes mornings urgent, experiences vivid, and choices meaningful. It is the tension between now and what could be, the hunger that turns possibility into action, the restlessness that refuses to settle for mediocrity. Modern life offers ease, abundance, and constant stimulation, but in doing so, it seduces people into a quiet numbness. Desire fades, curiosity dulls, and vitality diminishes. The habits that destroy lust are invisible because they are normalized. Comfort, distraction, emotional avoidance, routine, overexposure, and lack of purpose. They make life manageable, and in the process, lifeless. To live fully is to choose fire over numbness, to embrace discomfort, uncertainty, and challenge, to risk frustration, failure, and longing, to allow the mind and body to feel fully, unpredictably, and deeply. To restore lust is not a matter of indulgence, it is a matter of existence. The choice is simple, yet profound. Continue along the frictionless path, and desire quietly erodes. Or reclaim it deliberately, and confront the chaos it brings. The fire may be dangerous, but it is the only thing that makes life extraordinary. Desire is not a luxury. It is the compass, the fuel, and the spark. A life without it is safe, comfortable, and empty. A life with it burns, and in that burn, everything that matters comes alive. Choose fire. Choose to feel. Choose to want. Because numbness is easy, but it is not living.